Great. Hello, Susan. Good morning. Just gonna make one video here about a project I did recently. It's a real difficult project, but I think it's worthwhile. I get asked tons of questions about like at the end during the final project of how do I do something. And a lot of times the answer to that question is I want them to be able to use a variable. So I tended to make a project where they would learn about variables, and basically I made this Space Invaders program that worked. And they just had to add in code to make the variable parts work. So the final project looks like this, and I can send you the link to this, is it runs and shoots, and so it's got a time variable, a lives variable, a score. So the score goes up every time you hit a little alien, time goes down with time, and then there's this little star that's a power up that gives you like dual bullets when you hit that. You can see the power variable is now on, and it'll turn off after 15 seconds. Lives, you lose them when you hit the alien. I have a hard time hitting this thing. Amazing. So, anyways, now power up's off because it went on for 15 seconds. Score goes up when I hit it, and the game ends after so much time, or if I get hit by this thing again, game's over. So that's what the final project looks like, and basically they have to do these variables. The rest of the code works, they have to do the variable part. So looking at the starter project, that one, it'll play pretty much at the start, so it can kind of go like this, but there's no variable part. And so like there's no score, no lives, and stuff like that. So they have to do all of that, and I put all the directions in the starter project in here. And so, in theory, I think if they kind of read through this, it really helps. I also walked them through it a lot. The main thing was, first thing was to like create them. So I talked them through how to create these different variables, make sure, I pretty much had them all. You click for all actors. And then they create like the lives variable. I know I'm not going to do it because I don't want to change my starter project here, but they do that, and then they, they go through and add in a score variable, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of talks about what you got to do with them. There's kind of two parts. Is you like to initialize them. So like on the start, they have to set it to be something, right? And so like, not in there, but the time you'd set to 60 at the start, because you want to start with 60 seconds, and then you can make this little loop that drops it by 1 each second. And then so like for the score variable, score gets set to 0 at the start. Again, it says it all in these directions, and then they have to figure out, hey, when do you want to add to the score? So in class we talked about, okay, what event triggers raising the score? So it's okay when the bullet hits the alien. And the tricky part is the code could either be the alien or the bullet, because basically they're hitting each other. And I think it's in the alien. So right here it says when the alien touches bullet 1, bullet 2, that's where you want to put the change score by 1 to make it go up by 1. So they basically got to figure out, okay, where does that go? Like, what event triggers the score going up? Same thing with like the lives variable. That's really simple. They got to create it and then set it to be 0. No, not set it to be 0. Sorry, set it to be like 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever they want at the start. Then, okay, hey, what's the event that changes lives? So that I think happens when like the alien, the rocket hit. I think I put it in the rocket. So right here, that once the rocket touches the alien, right away you want to change the score. And then, change the lives. And after you make the lives go down 1, it's kind of logical to check, hey, if lives is 0, then say the game is over. Otherwise, wait a little bit, turn back into the rocket and keep playing. So that's lives variable. Kind of already talked about the timer. The timer's right here. It starts at 60 and then counts down by 1 in this little loop. So I built that with them. Power up is kind of the hardest one. I told them that, like the different variables, some of them are numbers, like most of them are numbers. So if we look at the final project again, I can't just play all there. It has a bunch of variables, and most of them are numbers, except this power up is like a word. So it's like essentially a light switch, like on or off. And so again, the key is you've got to initialize it. So for that one, you set it to like off. So on the start, you'd have like a little thing that says set it to off. Set it to be off, whatever. You'd have to create it first, but set the power up to be off. And then in the code, what turns it on is the power up hitting the rocket. So that event's like right here. So when power up touches rocket, we turn it on. And this wasn't super essential. I had them set it twice. So like set it to be on when we touch the rocket, and then set it to be off after 15 seconds. So that kept the power up on for 15 seconds and then off. And then we talked about, okay, so what setting it on and off, what has to change is the bullets. So like in the bullet code, there's code that says, for this is bullet 1, like normally it's going to shoot straight forward, but if the power up's on, then we tilt it off to the side a little bit so it doesn't shoot straight up. And bullet 2 has similar code, except it doesn't do anything unless the power up's on. Like it's not even shot, so it only gets really shot if the power up's on. Right, so basically this starter project has almost all the code, and what they have to do is they have to add in the variable parts. They have to create them, all actors, blah, 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 and then they have to implement them correctly in the code. So it's trying to teach them just the idea of a variable, where the rest of it's figured out for them already. And it was pretty challenging, but I think it's kind of an important thing that they would learn how to use them, and hopefully, I'm hoping in their final projects they'll be better at using variables. Having done this project. So overall it was tricky. Probably took like a day and a half. But I thought it was worth it. And the advanced kits can enhance it a lot, like make a final boss, like once the score hits 10, make a final boss, give that final boss health, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll send out the links to you, and I'm not sure how useful they'll be, but I thought it was worthwhile. It was challenging, but it was worthwhile.